very much. Thanks for having me here today. Coaching staff, it was good to see Coach Shoup again. Had some great memories with Coach Shoup, and thank you, Esty, for having me out here today. Actually, Coach Contreras asked me last year to come out, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that, and I regret that. I really do, because I try to get out and do as much as I can. I feel like some of the stuff that I've been through, I might be able to pass along and maybe help some of you. I'm always reminded when I come out and speak to teams, and I do so quite a bit. This is only my second time in 2 years, but prior to that, I used to do a lot of speaking to teams. And I mean, I was just like you guys. I'm just turned 48, so whatever. 28 some odd years ago, I was just like you guys, sitting here, getting ready for practice, getting ready for college baseball, getting ready to go to class, and all those things that come along. And I look at our players. I'm out there every day, just like your coaches are, and life can be overwhelming. I mean, just going to class and how you respond to going to class, how you respond to whatever it is, girlfriends, just everything in life. Parents on you to get good grades, just the traffic it takes to get here. Just responding to that, responding to running late, to not doing enough studying. Bad decisions about, you go to hang out with your friends, and one guy wants to have a beer, and next guy wants to smoke a joint or do whatever, and then one bad decision turns into another. And then how do you respond to that? How do you change those decisions around to start making good ones? I mean, I don't know how many of you guys, I'm sure everybody was affected about from the wildfires, right? I mean, you guys at least had smoke down here, you could smell it. Did you guys miss class or miss?
We missed 3 days of class, and we missed about 4 practices.
Okay, so everyone's affected. Anybody from up there in the North Bay? Yeah? Sonoma County, Napa County? Yeah, it's pretty, I'm sure everybody's, knows somebody either, one step away or 2 steps away from those fires. And it was kind of crazy because for those of us that were up there, I live in Rohnert Park, and obviously we were affected, and I have some good friends that lost homes, and I have a family member that lost a home, but just going to sleep and then waking up to just like utter chaos. I mean, people were pounding on my door, and I was like, what is going on? I mean, they were like, places on fire, and fortunately, it wasn't for me, but like the road outside of my housing complex was completely a parking lot. And I was like, well, I can't get out there in the parking lot. I mean, I'd rather be on foot. And I went and woke up my son, and I was like, pack a couple things, but we got to be ready to go. We're going to sit tight right now. And I was thinking, all these people were just panicking, like going out there. And I understand the panic, and I understand that response, but it was crazy to me. And I was thinking, why was I staying so calm? And I couldn't really think, and people were like, what do you think we should do? And people that knew me, that had known me for a long time, I'm like, well, I really don't know. I really don't know. And they're like, well, you're so calm. And I was like, well, I just know I'd rather be on foot than to be sitting there on the street. And then the other night, just fire related, I was going to Santa Rosa, and there was signs up on 101 above Highway 101 on the overpass, and it said, "Thank you, first responders. Thank you for everything you did. You emergency workers, thanks for responding." And I was thinking about that video or videos that you see all over Facebook, all over the news about like the highway patrol going in, the forester guys going in and banging on doors. And I was like, how come they responded that way? I mean, they're trained to do that, I guess. I'm not trained to do that. Like, I wasn't banging on any doors, even though people thought I was calm for responding the way I was. I wasn't responding the way they were. I mean, they were taking care of business. They were out there doing it. And I was like in awe, and I was thinking, what makes people like that respond? How come? I'm sure there's stories of guys that ran for the hills, right? What made those guys respond the way they did? I mean, I ask you, could you respond that way? I mean, I ask you this, just to go to the simplicity of a daily life. How did you respond to your alarm clock going off today? Did it suck? I mean, I think it's real important to respond in a good way to life. That when little things happen, that it's okay. That I think people that are very successful and happy people, that they respond in a good way. that they see crisis as opportunity, that they see a way to rebuild and regrow. Friends of mine that lost their homes up there, I mean, they're like, I was just telling Coach Contreras' wife, Angela, I was just saying, the people up there that lost their homes, like those people inspire me. One of my best friends, Kevin Wong, he played shortstop at Sonoma State when I got there in 1991. I talked to him and his family. I ran into him at the grocery store, and they are relocated to Rohnert Park. So I ran into them. They were like, "Oh, we're going to be fine. We already got a check, and we're already doing this, we're already doing that." And I was like, "Well, you got to come out and hang out at Sonoma State." He's like, "Yeah, I'll be out there." It was like the next person you talk to, "Oh my gosh, yeah, my friends lost this." I mean, he's not playing the victim. I mean, he's a survivor, and he goes beyond that. He's like a thriver. You know, I know this story about this guy that's a thriver. And I know Coach Contreras has heard this story, but I heard it a long time ago. And I replay it probably once a week because some bad stuff has happened to me a couple of years ago. I'll tell you about it in a few minutes maybe if I get to it. But this guy was just really dealt a bad hand. And he just wasn't going to give up. And he just kept practicing and kept persevering. And the story goes like this, actually. The date's November 11th, 1970. And it's at the University of Tulane football stadium. And the Detroit Lions, they got 16. And the New Orleans Saints got 14. And there's 5 clicks left on the clock. And the TV camera pans to the sidelines, and it catches the field goal unit of the New Orleans Saints rushing onto the field. They're going to try to win it with a field goal, right? But guys, it's no ordinary field goal. It's no ordinary field goal at all. The field goal's from 63 yards. 63 yards. It'd never been done in the history of the NFL. And it's more than that. The field goal kicker, his name's Tom Dempsey. And he's got half of a right arm. He wears a prosthetic right arm. And he's got half of a right kicking foot. He's got a special cleat that comes down and it's flat. And he doesn't like kick it to the side. He just runs up and he just kicks them straight on. So when the ball was snapped, the Detroit Lions, they fell back protecting against the fake field goal, right? Of course, there's no way this guy could kick the field goal. It's never been done, and the guy's handicapped. You see, guys, they had no idea about Tom Dempsey. They had no idea that he practiced responding to his handicap all his life. They had no idea that he was an ace. They had no idea that he had this attitude of excellence. Because when the ball was snapped, the ball was placed, and you know what Tom Dempsey did? He ran up and he kicked himself right into the National Football Hall of Fame. And it took 28 years before it was ever matched. 28 years, and it's been matched, and it's been beaten by a yard, but it took 28 years. And they asked the coach afterwards, they said, "Coach, how in the world did you have so much confidence in Tom Dempsey? How come you put him on the line?" And he said, "Because he's got an attitude of excellence. Because he's infectious. He makes the guy next to him better. That he drags the long snapper and the placer. He drags him out and he kicks field goals and he kicks them. And I knew I wanted to be on his back." I mean, do you want to be on the next guy's back? Do you want him in your foxhole? Do you want the guy sitting next to you right now? They put themselves on Tom Dempsey's back, and he kicked himself right into the National Football Hall of Fame, and they won. I mean, he responds like that. It's crazy to me. I mean, I'll tell you just a quick story. I was very fortunate because I truly believe, and maybe I didn't 5 years ago, but I do now, that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. It happens for you, that things come into your life for you to learn and for you to grow. And I was very fortunate when I was, I'm going to say 12 years old, maybe 11, maybe 13. When I was 12 years old, my dad signed me up for CYO basketball. And this isn't a story about CYO basketball. But I signed up and my dad took me to practice and I showed up and a guy by the name of Coach Frank Locco was my coach, and I didn't know who Frank Locco was. Maybe you do. And just a simple background, he coached at De La Salle for, Esty probably knows better than I do, 19 years I believe. won 3 state championships, was National Coach of the Year, and I played for him before he even knew, that he was even going to coach at De La Salle. I showed up, and he was a hard ass. Every day, just busting me. Every day, busting the whole team. My dad pulled me off the team all the time. I mean, it was like, the guy's crazy, Greg. And for some reason, I believed. For some reason, I bought in. And I can remember him sending us home all the time with all this homework. You got to shoot these. You got to shoot, 25 from this spot. And I was like, well, Coach, I don't have that driveway. I mean, he's like, find a way. Find a way. So shoot free throws if you're not doing anything else. Shoot free throws. And I said, well, like, how many should I shoot? I can remember this. Like, it's like, I don't know, shoot 100. I shot 100 a day. Why? I don't really know, but he instilled that in me. I believed that if I did that, for some reason, I was going to get something great. But we went on losing. 7th grade year, we lost all the time. We started getting better. I kept shooting and I kept shooting. My dad would be like, Greg, you should probably hit baseballs. You're never going to be a basketball player. But I kept shooting and I kept shooting. 8th grade year, we were better. Coach Alaco can outcoach probably anybody at the CYO level. I mean, I'd put my money on Coach Alaco. And at the end of the year, we won the league. And then we went to sectionals. And there was a championship game, and there was like 3 seconds left. And the play didn't work out right, and the guy fired up the shot. And ball went up, and I dropped the rebound, and I went to put it back up basically with like 1 second left. And I got balled just like you and your buddies playing, pickup basketball out on the blacktop. And there was no time left. And I was going to go to the free throw line all by myself. And, they were all getting organized, and Coach Locker said, Greg, come here for a second. He said, you're going to make the free throws, right? And I said, yeah, I'm going to make the free throws. And he said, okay, go make the free throws. So I went out, got the ball, the first one, made the first free throw. The other coach called timeout. Try to ice me, right? It was their only chance. Calls timeout, I come over, and Coach Locker said, you're going to make the free throw, right? Yeah, I'm going to make the free throw. I said, what? I said, yeah, I'm going to make the free throw. And he said, no, you need to make the free throw. And he said, I'm going to do my best. I went out to the line, and Coach Alaco, I get out to the line, and Coach Alaco calls timeout. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Walk over, and he's like, hey, Greg, puts his arm around me. He says, how many free throws do you shoot a day? I said, I shoot 100, Coach. And he said, what'd you say? I said, I shoot 100. He said, why did you do that? And I said, you told me to. And he said, well, look around the gym real quick. He said, there's nobody in this gym that shoots 100 a day. Nobody. Nobody shoots 100 a day. He said, look at your teammates. Nobody shoots 100. He said, well, don't let your teammates down, but look inside yourself. Don't let yourself down. Well, I went out and I made the free throw, of course, because I believed in Coach Alaco. And I remember after the game, when everything settled, he said, I want you to remember that for your life. That what you prepare for, that you won't be ready unless you're prepared. That you weren't ready for that moment, Greg. You weren't ready for that moment unless you shot all those balls. And I ask you, are you ready for the moment? Are you ready to take the field? I mean, you guys have practice in, 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whenever I'm done. Are you ready? Are you ready for class tomorrow? Did you prepare yourself for class? Did you prepare yourself for practice today? Coach Contreras and I were having a conversation. I don't know what it takes to be unbelievable. I know what it takes for me to be the best that I can be. And you should look in the mirror and ask yourself what it takes to be the best that you can be. And I think it goes above and beyond that, is I think you owe it to the guy next to you. You owe it to your coaches. The coaches owe it to you to just do the best that you can. The very best that you can. A year ago, I couldn't really read. And I was labeled all my life that I was dyslexic. And Coach Contreras will vouch for this. I mean, I was a victim of some sort of label that they called, being dyslexic. And I'm not downplaying that diagnosis or anything, but it comes down to just what I was saying about those free throws. I never practiced reading. I never practiced it at all. It was just something like, whatever. And we had to take this recruiting test. You guys take it, right? The recruiting test. Well, I'd always say oh, they don't give me enough time, or I made every excuse. I was the victim, right, Coach Contreras? Honestly, yeah, you can, and please do laugh at me, because I was. And then last year, about this time, I took the recruiting test, and I failed it. And And I was like, oh yeah, well, they don't give me enough time. I should have more time. Someone should read it. I mean, I had every excuse in the world. And then I thought about, not just Coach Alaco, but I just thought about what I was telling our players about practicing, what I'm telling you about practicing. So I went in. I mean, it didn't mean all that much. Like, it was just this recruiting test. But then I thought, well, it should mean. Everything should matter. It's my freaking job on the line. I should go, and I should know all those rules. I didn't break any rules. And I don't have 10 grand to slide under the table to get your best player. I'm not calling you. I'm not cheating. But I should know the rules. So I tried my best. And you know what my best got me? 100% on the recruiting test. 100% because I tried my best. And then it got me even more because of reading the manual. I started reading books. And I always wanted to read. Coach Contreras, you always read. And I always looked up to that. I always thought there was something in those books that maybe I was missing. And you know what? There was. I'm not telling you that you need to read to be successful, but I'm telling you I read one book in my life before. It was called The Traveler's Gift, and I've shared it with Coach Contreras. It's probably the best book I've ever read, but the second best book I ever read, I brought today to give to Coach Contreras, and it's called Legacy. And it's about the New Zealand All Blacks. And the New Zealand All Blacks, actually I'm going to show it to you, because it means that much. I want you guys to see it, because if you get a chance, you should pick it up. I'll say this too, since December 20th of last year, I've read 28 books. And I have a lot of time on my hands. But I've read 28 books, and I've read this book twice. And the second chapter of the book is about sweeping the sheds. And sweeping the sheds, well, first of all, let me say this about New Zealand All Blacks. They're arguably the most successful sports franchise team in the history of the world. And this book basically chronicles how they, go up and down and how they always come back to greatness. And the second chapter, like I said, is called Sweeping the Sheds. And what it says is New Zealand All Blacks, wherever they go, win or lose, it doesn't matter. They bring along their own cleaning equipment and they clean the locker room because it's their priority to leave it better than when they got it. So they leave where they go and play, they leave it better than when they got it. And it goes above and beyond that the New Zealand All Blacks believe that jersey, the jersey that they're wearing, that it's their job to leave it better than when they got it. Think about that. Think about where this program would be if that jersey you're wearing, if you left it better than when you got it. And the guy after you, and the guy after you, and the guy after you. Pretty simply said, the discipline's really hard, but do you have that within you to leave that jersey that you're going to wear better than when you got it? Do you have the discipline to leave today better than when you woke up? Can you do that? Can you just get a little bit better? There's all kinds of books and all kinds of quotes and all kinds of sayings about, just get a little bit better every single day. But just think if you just did. How many guys are here? 40? 30? Everybody just got 0.25% better. Where would you be at the end of practice today? Where would you be tomorrow? Where would you be next week? Where would you be next month? Where would you be May? It'd be unbelievable, wouldn't it? But you guys should hold yourselves to that. I really believe that. If you get a chance, read the book. It's all about getting better, and it's all about having personal responsibility to do everything the best that you can be and to be a leader of yourself. I encourage you to read it. I just want to share with you something because, and unfortunately I might get a little choked up, and it's fine. I don't really care. I'll get through it. I promise you I will. But this Wednesday is a huge day in my life, actually. My wife passed away 2 years ago on Wednesday. And I met my wife in 1991, and she was a phenomenal softball player at Sonoma State. And she was an all-region player, all-league player. Nicest person I ever met. Hard worker, courage, all the above. Check all the boxes. And her senior year, she got diagnosed with an awful disease. A disease called lupus. And lupus is just one of those weird things that you wouldn't know if you were walking beside the person, but their body just kind of eats itself alive. She played her senior year on chemotherapy, and I remember her being like upset because she didn't have a great year. I was like, oh my God. Like, just to show up, just to be there, just to respond to chemo by showing up and being a part of the team. I was like inspired by every single day. She got better. We got married, and she was doing really good. The doctor said that we could have a family. When my son was born, she got really sick again, and it took about 2 years for her to recover. And in the spring of 2008, she breathed in a bacteria just like you and I breathing in right now. But her immune system was down, and that bacteria went into her lung, and it ate the lower half of her left lung. And she was in a medically induced coma for 30 days. For 30 days she laid there, and I remember the doctor saying that she had a 50-50 chance of survival. I was like, oh my gosh. All I could think about was I didn't want my son to not have a mom. That's all I prayed for. I just didn't want her to die. And she got better. And she got out of the hospital. And I remember her goal, among other things, just the goal to share with you guys, was to go back to work. Whether that was to volunteer, whether that was to work part-time, or to go back full-time. And she busted her butt. I mean, we walked, and we went to the gym. It was just awe-inspiring to watch somebody recover. She had to learn to walk. She had to learn to eat. She had to learn to talk. She had to learn everything. And she went back to work a year to the day. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like this is we're finally rolling. Like things are going good. 4 days later, I took my son to the doctor, and the doctor diagnosed my son, or our son, excuse me, with type 1 diabetes. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? I can't believe this is happening to me. I could not believe that this is happening to our family. The doctor said, you need to go get your son from school, and you need to rush him down to Children's Hospital of Oakland. You can probably see it from here. We were on Highway 24, and I remember talking to my wife, and I said, we really need to try to make this the best that we can. And she goes, let's do it. Let's make it the best that we can. Let's make type 1 diabetes the most honorable thing that we could do. I just remember thinking, gosh, that's just what we need to do. That's the only way to respond. That's the only way to respond. I'm not going to be a victim of it. I'm going to respond the best way possible. And we did. A few years went by. Taking care of diabetes, it became just like second nature. To this day, it's just second nature. My son has it, and I'm actually honored he has it, to be honest with you. I'm sad for him, but I'm honored to take care of him. I was honored at 2 o'clock this morning to check his blood sugar and to treat him. But a couple years later, in 2010, my wife got really sick. She lost her kidneys, and she was on dialysis. She was on dialysis because she couldn't urinate, so she had to do dialysis to get all the toxins out of her body. And it went on for 4 or 5 years doing it every day at home, and then she had to go to the hospital. And 2.5 years ago, I was coaching with Coach Contreras, and I got a call saying that she had 6 months to a year to live. And I thought I was prepared. And I just really wasn't. Like I said 2 years ago this Wednesday, I got a call. It was the hardest call. She passed away, and my son and I were sitting at home because that's where we wanted to be, because we knew, or at least I knew, that what was going to happen. And I thought I was prepared, and I wasn't. I didn't respond well. I really didn't. And I started waking up depressed. I started drinking. I can remember there was $197,000 in medical bills sitting on my coffee table. And I was afraid to go out the front door. I was afraid to go to my mailbox because there were so many bills and so many letters and so many bill collectors that I was just afraid to even open the mailbox. In fact, it was so full every single day that I had to pay the mailman and put a box outside my door. That's how many bills I was getting. And I knew I didn't owe all of them, but I was afraid to even pick up the phone. I mean, 2 years ago, I couldn't drive across that bridge to get here today. Coach Contreras will vouch for that. I couldn't do it. Well, I was sitting, and it was probably mid-December. For 6 weeks, I was played the victim. And I just sat there, just pity, and just, everything was happening to me. Nothing was happening for me. And there was a knock on my door. And I went and I opened the door, and I just left it open, and I walked back, and it was a guy that I coached, the guy that I recruited. And he said, "Oh, hey, Coach Adams, you're in the same spot you were a couple weeks ago." And I said, "Yep." He said, if you came here to inspire, then you should just go. And he said, "Oh, I didn't come here to inspire. I just came here to check on you, make sure you were still alive." I said, "I'm alive. I'm taking care of things." And he said, "Well, I get that. I get that you're kind of going through and things are okay and you're not driving." I said, "No, I'm not driving. I'm not putting anybody in any harm." He said, No, I get that. But what happened to that guy?" It's like, "What happened to that guy? Where's that guy that I knew?" He said, "Because I had a whole ton of problems, and you told me that life will pay the price that you ask of it. That if you ask more out of life, that you'll get more." I said, "Yeah, I told you that." And he said, "You told me that if you give more than you ever thought possible, that you'll get more than you could ever imagine." And I said, "Yeah, I told you that." And he said, "Why don't you start trying?" He said, "Because for like 6 weeks or 2 months, I've watched you not try. And I don't want to see you not try. Just do something." And he threw this envelope on my coffee table, and it slid off and went off. And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "I don't know if I'll be back today or tomorrow or next week." And I said, "Okay." I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know how to respond. And I felt bad that my wife had died. And I felt bad for myself. And I did something that I don't really advise, but I brought over the shredder, and I shredded every bill. I thought, you know what, they're going to come back today, tomorrow, the next week, they'll all be back. And I did that, and I started step 1, and I started to recover, and I started becoming better. I made calls to people. Coach Contreras got a call, as he was on my short list of people that I wanted on my side to support me. And I said that I needed help. I needed help not just with drinking. I can handle that one. I needed help in life. I need people to support me. Just like you got your team, you guys need each other. I needed people. I thought that I was invincible. I wasn't. Just like everybody else. And I got knocked down, and it's how you respond. It's just how I started. It's how you respond. That are you going to live today like it's your last? Why not? Why not give everything you got? Why not leave it all out there? Why not? Why not leave it all in life, right? Why not? I just want to share with you this, and then if there's any questions, that's fine. But I heard this in 1994, and I share it with a lot of people. And when that guy came in my house, and when he left and he threw the envelope, I had given it to him. And I opened it, and I saw what was in there, and I knew that it was something that inspired me. Because when I heard it in 1994, I recited it every single day for 16 years. And then life got real difficult, and I got away from it. And I shared it with Coach Contreras. He actually posted it up one day. And maybe he shared it with you, but I'm going to share it in my way. So I want to leave you with this. It's a poem from Edgar Guest, who's a famous American poet. And what Edgar Guest said was that he would be all that a mortal could be tomorrow. That none would be braver and stronger than he tomorrow. A friend who was weary and troubled he knew, who needed a lift and wanted one too. On him he would call to see what he could do tomorrow. Oh, he stacked up the letters he was going to write tomorrow. He thought of the friends that he could fill with delight tomorrow. It was too bad indeed that he was too busy today and hadn't a moment to stop on the way. More time I'll give to others, he would say, tomorrow. Oh, the greatest of workers this man would have been tomorrow, and the world would have known him had he ever have seen tomorrow. But the fact is he died, and he faded from view. And all he left when his living was through was a huge, huge mountain of things that he intended to do tomorrow. Hey guys, don't wait till tomorrow. Take life in today. Be the best that you can be today. Be the best son, be the best brother, be the best teammate, be the best person you can be today. I want to thank you for having me, Coach Contreras, and you coaches. Thanks for giving me a few minutes to share. Thank you very much. Good luck to you guys.